This video is unlike anything I've ever done here on YouTube. I have teamed up with my favorite filmmakers to bring you 5 insanely valuable tips. We'll focus on growing creatively, being more intentional, and becoming a better storyteller. First up, we've got Reilin Joey. If you haven't heard of his channel by now, you're totally missing out. Reilin is one of the most talented creators I know, and I've had the joy of working with him on a few projects during my stay in the Netherlands. He has an incredible sense for the cinematic, and his videos can take you from 0 to 100 in seconds.
Try to picture the last time that you saw a video that really inspired you. Now, it was probably mainly due to a combination of the story, the visuals, and the sound. What if I told you that there was a technique that you could use that could greatly improve the overall feeling of your videos in all of these 3 areas? My answer to that is flow of movement. Now, instead of looking at your film as a collection of loose images, I like to visualize a flow of every single shot leading into the next one, either by using camera movement or by capturing movement inside of your frame that then motivates movement in the next frame. Now, you can also break this chain of movement by adding a still wide shot, for example, after which you can continue in a new visual direction. If you can combine this flow of movement with some strong sound design that really supports your storyline, then you've got a much more complete end result that feels a lot more natural because the shots blend together a lot better. Now, ever since I've got to work with Jacques for the first time, I've been a huge fan of his generosity in sharing knowledge. I'm honored to be part of this, and I'm excited to hear what the other guys are going to be sharing. So I'll see you in the next one.
Tip number 2 is from Niklas Christl. By now you should have seen at least one of his videos, but Niklas is hands down one of the coolest creators I know. I met him in Cape Town through some mutual friends, and we went on a sunrise mission together. Our conversations were incredibly inspiring, and we've stayed in touch ever since. Niklas has truly mastered the storytelling process and has the ability to take you on a journey no matter what the topic.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Jacques for bringing more of us filmmakers together by collaborating on this video. Now, for the last 2 years, I spent almost every waking hour on creating my own film academy, and through that process, I was able to develop hundreds of applicable storytelling frameworks. But while I'd love to tell you about all of them, I'm now going to specifically focus on the importance of telling both the physical and the emotional journey. So by definition, every story shows a character on a journey. Now, the interesting part is that this journey happens on both a physical level and an emotional level. The physical journey are the events taking place, and the emotional journey are your character's thoughts and feelings. So for example, in my marathon video, the physical journey is to run a marathon with 9 weeks of training, but the emotional journey is to prove to myself that I'm stronger than I think. Both of these journeys happen alongside each other as events trigger emotions and emotions trigger events. This is why you as the storyteller should alternate between telling the physical and the emotional journey throughout your video. The most common mistake is to only tell the physical journey of what happens on the surface without ever giving an insight into what is happening in the character's mind. Usually the emotional journey is the much more interesting one because it adds depth and relatability to your story. So for your next video, make sure to document your character's thoughts and feelings while shooting and add raw moments and voiceovers in the editing. Stay aware of both of these journeys throughout the whole filmmaking process, and I can assure you that your stories are going to be a lot more exciting to watch. Once again, a huge thank you to Jacques for bringing all of us together, and I can't wait to meet all of the other filmmakers in person.
So what you just saw was a 1-minute summary of a 50-minute lesson from Niklas's Filmmaking Academy. Also part of this course is a dedicated lighting tutorial I did. So if you like what you're hearing, head on over to his channel and sign up. Next, we've got a tip from Sjoerd Wess. This dude is simply amazing and one of my favorite filmmaking channels on YouTube. I also met him in the Netherlands and we hung out a few times as well as collaborate on a project for DJI. Meeting this guy was one of the highlights of my stay, and we had some great chats about life, filmmaking and YouTube. Sjoerd has a classic, trend-free filmmaking style that will transcend this generation.
Okay, so I'm going to take you through how you can use white balance to create a look on set in camera and why you want to do it in camera rather than in post. Now, whenever you're filming something inside a living room with a window in the shot, you can really nicely create a beautiful color contrast between the light that you are artificially placing and the outside light. Now, I shot this around noon, I think about 1 o'clock. So the outside light was around 5500 Kelvin. I used another one of my lights inside that I set to 3200 Kelvin, aka tungsten. If you leave your white balance in camera at 5500 Kelvin, you get a very warm look on the subject, but the outside light is still white. What I always do in this kind of situation, I put my white balance to 4500 or 4000. This creates a beautiful color contrast because the tungsten light source gets a little bit less warm and feels a bit more natural, but the outside light becomes a little bit more blue. I'm sure you're familiar with the orange and teal look. This is exactly that, but then created in camera. And in post, you can of course pull it apart even further, but it's nice to do this in camera because everybody that you're working with on set follows along and sees exactly what you have in your mind.
I get so many questions about this topic on my channel, and I feel he just nailed it in 1 minute. Sjoerd recently started his own Filmmakers community page, and it's a great place to connect with like-minded filmmakers. So if you want to expand your network, go check it out. Before I get to the next step, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, Musicbed. Music in the edit is not important, it's everything. In my 13 years of filmmaking, I have yet to encounter a platform that comes even close to Musicbed. For starters, it has the largest collection of authentic, carefully curated music and a much higher volume of tracks you actually want to use. Finding a good song has never been easier, and I sometimes battle to decide because I end up with more than one song that could work for my edits. But this is the kind of problem you want to have, because the ones I don't use often end up being used in the next project. The platform has been a great form of inspiration, and I often go on just to listen to the music while I do stuff like admin, color grading, and more creative tasks like scripting. If you've been thinking about switching to Musicbed, I want to encourage you to try it out, and I'm pretty sure you'll share the same sentiment once you start using it. Right now, for a limited time, Musicbed is offering a free 14-day trial, so you can use their music and see the difference yourself. Check out the link in the description for more info. The next tip is from Zilver Schmitz. I met Zilver through Reilin, and I was immediately captivated by his filmmaking style. He has a great eye for the cinematic and is super intentional about every shot, something we can all get better at.
My advice to you guys would be to add symbolism to your videos. Don't just create visually appealing shots, but carefully consider the message you want to convey. Your videos can make much greater impact if you add a deeper meaning to your shots. And for this, you definitely don't need a fancy gimbal or editing technique. Instead, think of every shot as a painting or a work of art. This approach will make the viewers think about what they see, enabling you to effectively tell your story. I would like to give a few examples of metaphors in shots I've used in some of my latest projects, so you guys can understand what I mean. The first example is a light source that I've used multiple times as a metaphor for the happiness I'm trying to find. Another example is a shot of myself emerging from a dark cave towards the sea. This dark cave symbolizes my darkest thoughts, and the sea represents the flow of life. The last example I'd like to share is the inclusion of multiple representations of myself within a single frame. This symbolizes an internal conflict. And I think that's it. I hope you find this tip useful, and I hope you can use it for your next project. Thanks again, Jacques, and thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the tips of the other great creators. Cheers!
Zilver recently fired up his YouTube channel, and you can expect some amazing tutorials and BTS from him. The last tip is from yours truly. Mine is not so much a filmmaking tip, but more a principle that completely revolutionized my filmmaking career. There's a reason I involved other creators to be part of this video. On YouTube, all these guys can be viewed as competition, so why on earth would I promote them? There's this saying that goes something like, work hard until your idols become your rivals. I tend to disagree. My philosophy has always been, work hard until your idols become your friends. Making friends with filmmakers you view as competition is literally the smartest thing you can do for your career, and the positives vastly outweigh the potential negatives. If I look back at my career, I can confidently say that all of the best and biggest opportunities came through friends in the industry. As competitive as you think someone might be, things change quickly the moment it becomes personal. So let's make it personal. 3 reasons to connect with other creators. Number 1, you will get better at filmmaking. Some of the best skills I learned was from fellow creators. This means finding someone who is better than you and reaching out to the rookies. You never want to be the best in the room, and you always want to make time to give back to someone with less experience. The reason I love making friends with beginners is because they're so hungry to learn. They're consuming YouTube more than anyone else. So sometimes they discover a new technique that I haven't even heard of. And then I'm like, wow, that's cool. I just learned something. Number 2, you will get more work. I really believe that there's enough sunshine for everyone. These personal relationships will quickly translate into work. Sometimes you will send work their way, sometimes they will send work your way. But the real magic happens when you start working on bigger projects together. Number 3 is purely to stay inspired. Connecting with like-minded people has a way of keeping the flame of passion alive, which is probably the most important aspect of being a creative. When I met Niklas, I had just over 10,000 subs, but our conversation ignited a passion to take YouTube more seriously. And 2 years later, I'm about to hit 300,000. In the same way, as much as Reilin inspired me to be a better filmmaker, I also encouraged him to start YouTube, and now he's smashing it. We're talking about defining moments that can alter your career forever by simply engaging with fellow creators. Sometimes you have to take that first step to reach out. And yes, you might be rejected, but if you keep on trying, you will find your tribe. If you know any cool creators, drop their names in the comments and I'll check them out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.